All right, you made it back. I'm glad you're here. Before we start up talking about what we're doing today, this is part two, and so I'm sure you know a little bit about what we're going to be doing. But first, you got your pencil, sharp point, an eraser, some white paper, some colors or colored pencils, magic markers, whatever color you want. I'd really like for these to be as colorful as you can. To just kind of go over a little bit of what we talked about last time. The subject matter of the day is generosity. How well are you? How good are you when it comes to being a giving person? Do you enjoy giving? Do you give because you have to, because your folks tell you have to? Kind of want you to think about all of this while we're doing this art project. Again, the idea of being a giving, generous person. I think that you can be a good, generous person even if you don't really have that much to give. If you can't give something, you can give your time, you can give your advice, you can give them a laugh. Right? So, first and foremost, let's get to the project. The project will be, this is mine, being generous. I just drew a cake, a big piece of cake. If I've got cake, I'm very generous with cake simply because I just think it's the right thing to do. And cake's kind of you share cakes, they're just things that you just always kind of share, right? So that's my symbol of generosity. And so you need to come up with your own. Come up with your own, example of something that's easy for you to give. All right. Okay. What I'd like for you to do is start out with the picture that you're wanting to do and make it as large as you can on your piece of paper. Now watch this. Now this is my cake. I'm not asking you to do the cake, right? I'm just asking you to, whatever you do, pick a place on your paper and draw what that is really pretty big, right? Fill up this space. The next thing that I did, I wanted to put it on a plate. So I just kind of created this kind of round like thing like this. And then I added another one. Right now it could be like a big piece of cheese too. So I had to make it look like a cake. So I just kind of started decorating it. And it's kind of interesting that we have talked in the past about what it was like before photography, right? Well, there was a period of time during like the 17th century in France that which is you should know, a country in Europe, and they used to have painters, artists that would come in and paint pictures of great gifts that people gave them. Isn't that weird? It's kind of like now, it's like when you go on TikTok or Facebook or what have you, and you have all these celebrities that have all this money, and they're always standing next to something, or they're wearing something that's like really cool, or a gift somebody gave them. It's like we have photography and video right now, but back a long time ago, before video and photographs were being taken, there wasn't even cameras at the time. It was, people were always kind of doing stuff like that, drawing and coloring. And painting paintings of great things that people gave each other. I think that's kind of weird, but that would be like us on a birthday and we get a bunch of gifts and we take snapshots from our camera and send them out on social media. Look what I got. So I thought that was always just kind of interesting that artists have always been employed to do a variety of things to document, to prove that something happened. And I just think that's kind of neat, that artists have always been around doing that. So anyway, I thought that was really kind of cool. So, how's your picture going? Did you decide what you were going to do? I tell you what, I said in the last segment about lost dogs. I just found out today, a friend of mine, they got out of the fence and he didn't know it, and they were gone almost all night. He got a telephone call from some nice person at Myriad Gardens that says, "I've got your dog." And he jumped up and he freaked out and he ran down there. Come to find out, both of the dogs were gone. And he was so sad. Well, this was in the middle of the night, and he called about 4 or 5 of his friends that got up in the middle of the night and run down there to try to find the other dog. And I just thought that was such a wonderful thing, that these people were so generous of their time that they would even get up in the middle of the night for something that important. Well, the weird thing about it is that he took one of the dogs home, but when he got back, the other dog was sitting outside of the gate by his house. That they both went all the way to Myriad Gardens, and one of them got all the way back. Anyway, I just thought that was really, really, really kind of cool. That he got his dogs back. I would have freaked out if I lost my dogs. You know, another thing about generosity is there is such a thing as philanthropy. Has anybody ever heard of philanthropy? Philanthropy, or if somebody is philanthropic, what that means is they give money usually. I know that in Oklahoma, when you see a building, a new building, and it's got somebody's name on it, it's because that person gave X amount of funds to help build that school. It's great. I mean, when you think of all the great things, the buildings and art and programs for kids and all kinds of that money comes from people and organizations that want to give back. Some organizations and businesses are real generous, and some are not so generous. But it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat that there is a system in place where if something really, it's kind of like the GoFundMe pages, right? If you know something about the GoFundMe pages, it's really kind of cool, because if there's something that really affects you and you want to give money, it's an easy way to do it. There are things where you can volunteer. When people volunteer in hospitals and shelters and stuff like that, those volunteers are giving their time to something they believe is important. And I think that's one of the most wonderful things that human beings can do for each other. And I want you to be that way. The more generous and caring people we have out in the world, hey, it's just going to be a better world. And it's going to be a better world for you too. So, where are you at? Right? Are you here? Have you got your, I hope you do. I'm going to try to do the same thing I did on my other piece. Try to stay within the lines. There are times where that's not important, but because there's only one thing on this piece of paper, it's kind of important that we try to keep in the lines and make these lines into a shape by filling in all the colors, all of the shapes. Yeah, you know, these organizations I was telling you about, it's like they're called charities, right? Charity is this is how I define charity. Charity is a combination of being generous and having love in your heart, right? It's like you see a need for something and you go out of your way. I mean, you go out of your way with your time or your money or, like the food drives that we have in Oklahoma for people who don't have a lot of food, People give food and they give money for the sole purpose of feeding people that can't afford it and don't have it. I mean, to me, that's a wonderful thing. It just amazes me that people can be so generous. So, this is just kind of a way to talk about something I think is really kind of important. And two, let's make an art picture out of this, to kind of document it. Make it real. I'm one of those people that you have to visualize something before it can ever be real. Like this piece of cake. I want a piece of cake right now. I'm getting hungry looking at this piece of cake. What's your favorite cake? Mine's chocolate. I like chocolate cake. So, hope everybody is gearing up to finish this. You can go nuts. You can put candles on it if you're doing a cake. You can put a crown if it's a dog. Play with it. Have a good time with this. Make it fun and make it colorful. So anyway, my name is Mr. Paul. Thank you for coming and spending about 30 minutes with me today. Again, try to see what I'm getting at here about generosity. Be giving. Care about other people. Because that's how good people come to you. When you're good, when you show love and care and honesty, people that are caring and loving and honest will be drawn to you. And the more people that you can draw to you like that, I think the better your life will be. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Be safe out there. Have a good time. Wear that mask in public.